She strutted around that lake like she owned it. Honestly, I let her keep thinking that until the day I proved I literally owned everything under her precious slice of suburbia. Karen Whitmore had turned harassing my disabled veteran father into a full-blown sport. Every morning she'd roll through Pine Ridge Estates in her golf cart, like some HOA stormtrooper, clipboard in one hand, measuring tape in the other, just looking for an excuse to boss people around. She even threatened to have my 72-year-old dad guy's been in a wheelchair since Vietnam arrested for fishing under a pop-up tent for shade. These folks were trying to intimidate us off a lakefront my family had used for 3 generations, like history didn't matter. Thing is, Karen had no clue who she was picking a fight with. I'm an environmental consultant. I read property records the way other people read gossip magazines. And while she played HOA dictator, I was figuring out how my late grandfather's mineral rights might just let me buy her whole neighborhood out from under her and turn it into a public park. You ever have some HOA busybody try to criminalize your family's therapy fishing trips? Drop a comment if you live near a lake, because this takedown's got more twists than a northern pike in a net. Let me back up. My name's Jake. 6 months ago, I inherited my granddad's lakefront cabin up in Millbrook, Minnesota. Nothing fancy. Old cedar boards, creaky porch swing, the kind of place 3 generations learned to fish, swim, and just be. Honestly, the timing couldn't have been better. My work's mostly remote these days, so I can take care of my dad. He's a Vietnam vet, lost both legs to an IED in '68, and those fishing trips, they're doctor's orders for his PTSD. Nothing centers him like the smell of pine, the sound of loons, the sunlight breaking through mist on the water. All those years of VA therapy, nothing touched him like this lake. Now, Millbrook Lake is a mixed public land, but ringed by newer developments. For decades, everyone got along fine. Old-timers like us, newcomers too. Sometimes people griped about jet skis or music, but it was nothing. Then the Chicago money showed up, and with it came Linda Whitmore Karen to everyone, not in her face. She moved in with her developer husband, and within half a year anointed herself queen of Pine Ridge Estates, those mini mansions popping up on what used to be Granddad's favorite duck blind. Karen's the type who measures grass with a ruler and times your guests with a stopwatch. Already had a few victories under her belt, banned the weekend food truck for undesirables, forced old Mrs. Peterson to repaint her mailbox because the blue was 2 shades off approved. Power like that goes to some people's heads. Trouble started on a crisp September Tuesday. Dad and I set up at the public boat launch, him in his chair on the dock, me with a folding chair and our tackle box. He was squinting in the sun, so I set up a little pop-up tent, just a cheap shade thing, nothing crazy, on public grass. We'd been there maybe half an hour when I heard the crunch of designer heels. Here comes Karen tennis outfit worth more than my truck payment, clipboard ready. "Excuse me," she says, not even pretending to be polite. "This tent violates our community's visual pollution ordinance." She starts measuring like she's CSI. I tell her, "Ma'am, this is public land. Check the county maps." Her face goes crimson. "I don't care what some outdated map says. This affects property values. I have the authority to issue citations." She whips out a stack of papers. "That's a $500 daily fine if you don't remove it." Dad just gives me that look. You know, the one that don't make a scene look so. We pack up and leave her filming us like she'd just stopped a bank robbery. That night I'm tossing and turning thinking about it. I dig through the box of old papers Grandpa left behind, deed survey maps, mineral rights dating back to the 50s. And I find it the original sale agreement from when Pine Ridge was built. Turns out Grandpa sold the surface rights, but kept the mineral rights, including valuable limestone under Karen's house. Yeah, she didn't know she was living on top of a gold mine, literally. Next morning I find a citation on my truck, looks official, even has a county seal. Unauthorized camping structure, $500 fine. And it's signed by Karen herself, calling herself Deputy Environmental Compliance Officer. The nerve, right? Dad just laughs, says in his day impersonating a federal officer would get you thrown in jail. So I call the county, no such officer, no such position. Karen was impersonating a government official, which is a federal crime. But I don't confront her, not yet. I set up a hidden camera near the boat launch to catch her in the act. Sure enough, Karen shows up in her golf cart the next day, fake badge, the works, handing out citations, threatening an old couple, measuring everything. I'm not the only one who notices. Old Bob, been fishing there since before Karen was born, tells me she's scaring kids off the lake, even called the police on Mrs. Garcia's grandkids for disturbing the peace. Then Bob mentions Granddad kept something when he sold the land, a little insurance policy. My pulse spikes. What did he mean? Might want to check the records, son. Karen's next move, she gets her husband's contractor buddy to block public parking with construction equipment, puts up fake authorized vehicles, only signs, hires a rent-a-cop. The lake's turning into her private kingdom. But while she's doing that, I'm documenting violations, unpermitted docks, illegal floodlights, filled dirt in wetlands. I send it all to the county plus proof of her impersonating an officer. Meanwhile, Karen ramps up online. She creates a Facebook group, Millbrook Lake Community Standards, and posts pictures of Dad and me calling us vagrants, hinting at transient activity. She zooms in on my dad's wheelchair to make it look like he's pushing a shopping cart. Strangers online start talking about calling the cops on us. She's turning the whole community against a disabled vet and his son. That's when Sarah, my lawyer friend, finds the real bombshell. Karen's husband's development company is drowning in debt with back taxes, liens, and an ongoing EPA investigation. Their house is leveraged to the hilt. And the mineral rights I own, turns out in Minnesota, they trump surface rights. I could, if I wanted, run quarrying equipment through her yard, and the limestone's worth $2.3 million. Karen, meanwhile, files noise complaints against us, claims Dad's wheelchair is damaging wetlands, and get this, calls ICE on the Rodriguez family because she doesn't like seeing Hispanic kids fishing. That's when I've had enough. I file an ADA complaint with the DOJ, compile every fake citation, every harassing post, and call up Millbrook Limestone. Hi, I own the mineral rights under a residential development. Let's talk. The local paper picks up the story. Veterans groups start asking questions. The tourism board complains about lost revenue, and suddenly Karen's on the defensive. One morning we're drinking coffee when the police show up. Karen's called in aggressive trespassers. The sergeant takes one look at us, listens to her shriek about people like that, and ends up giving me his card, tells me pattern harassment against veterans is a federal civil rights violation. I serve Karen with a cease and desist file, FOIA requests for all her 911 calls, 14 in 6 months, all targeting minorities and vets, and as I dig through Granddad's papers one rainy night, I find the real ace, an easement agreement from 1952 guaranteeing public access to the lake, enforceable by the original landowner, me. Karen's been breaking a contract that runs with the land, giving me legal authority to remove her barriers and sue for damages. Sarah, Mike, the surveyor. Tom from Millbrook Limestone, and Maria from the Veterans Advocacy Center. All pile into my kitchen one morning. It feels like we're assembling the legal Avengers. We map out the play, enforce the easement, sue the HOA, assess the minerals, offer buyouts, turn the whole thing into a public park. Karen's house becomes collateral, her harassment documented as evidence. She panics, tries to sabotage our survey markers, caught on trail cam dumps, motor oil by the lake. EPA violation, tries to break into my truck, caught on camera, and gets exposed by Mrs. Peterson, who's been secretly recording her threats and plans to plant evidence and frame us as squatters. Karen even fakes environmental studies, organizes protests, and tries to bribe the county commissioner. He records everything. The final showdown is cinematic. At the county hearing, Karen's lawyers talk about property values and outside agitators. I show up with the easement video of her committing felonies, the bribery tape, and EPA photos of the illegal dumping. Karen loses it in public, screaming about people like that, and gets escorted out. The commission rules unanimously in my favor. Public access restored. HOA fined criminal charges for Karen. 3 weeks later, her house is up for sale. Within 6 months, Karen and her husband are gone, the limestone's being responsibly extracted, actually improving the lake, and the old fishing spot is a public park with wheelchair access and a veterans memorial pier. The laughter of kids and the call of loons have replaced Karen's shrill complaints. My dad's PTSD has never been better. The community's stronger than ever, and my environmental consulting business is booming. Granddad's legacy lives on, not just for us, but for every family that loves that lake. Karen thought she was protecting property values. What she actually did was hand us every piece of evidence to reclaim what belonged to everyone. Now, if you've ever had to stand up to an HOA tyrant or seen someone try to gatekeep the outdoors, I want to hear about it in the comments. Where do you draw the line between property rights and public good? Who really owns the land, the person with the deed, or the people who care for it? Share your story. Hit subscribe if you want to see more takedowns. And remember, sometimes the best revenge is building something better.